chapter 2. Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that announceth peace. Keep your feast, O Judah, perform your vows, for the wicked one shall no more pass through you. He is utterly cut off. A maw is come up before your face. Guard the defenses, watch the way, make your loins strong, fortify your power mightily. For the Lord restoreth the pride of Jacob, as the pride of Israel. For the emptiers have emptied them out, and marred their vine branches. The shield of his mighty men is made red, the valiant men are in scarlet. The chariots are fire of steel in the day of his preparation, and the cypress spears are made to quiver. The chariots rush madly in the street, they jostle one against another in the broad places. The appearance of them is like torches. They run to and fro like the lightning. He bethinketh himself of his worthies. They stumble in their march. They make haste to the wall thereof, and the mantlet is prepared. The gates of the rivers are opened, and the palace is dissolved, and the queen is uncovered. She is carried away, and her handmaids moan as with the voice of doves, tabering upon their breasts. But Nineveh hath been from old like a pool of water, yet they flee away. Stand, stand, but none look back. Take you the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there is no end of the store, rich with all the precious vessels. She is empty and void and waste, and the heart melteth, and the knees smite together, and convulsions is in all loins, and the face of them have gathered blackness. Where is the den of lions, which was in the feeding place of the young lions, where the lion and the lionesses walked, and the lions whelped, and none made them afraid? The lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, and strangled for his lionesses, and filled his caves with prey, and his dens with ravin. Behold, I am against you, saith the Lord of hosts. I will burn her chariots in the smoke, and the sword shall devour your young lions, and I will cut off the prey from the earth, and the voice of your messengers shall be no more heard. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Yesterday, or the last chapter, we remember Nahum was prophesying against Nineveh, and we're still using Nineveh, this abode of Ninus, this great city of Ashur, of which Ashur built, which is the capital city of Assyria, which it means Ashur, this step up, step forward, step in progress, or this altar they have made for themselves. And we're still going to prophesy against him, using them as the example now of what would be even in the end of days. Behold, verse 1. Behold, upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that announces peace. Keep your feasts, O Judah, perform your vows. For the wicked one shall no more pass through you, he is utterly cut off. And upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings. And these mountains are those that have exalted themselves, these high places. Let's just call them the high places, because that's what they are in similitude of, and that's what they represent. And there is one now who is made to walk on these high places, and he has come to walk on them because he is going to tread them down. And he is announcing peace, and we're going to see who's he announcing peace to. Judah. Keep your feasts, O Judah. Perform your vows. So he's telling Judah now to keep the law, to keep the words you spoke with your mouth, because God's going to cut the evil one off. God's going to cut this wicked one off. This one he has caused to pass through in judgment, God is going to cut off. Verse 2. A maw is come up before your face. Guard the defenses, watch the way, make your loins strong, fortify your power mightily. And we're still talking to Judah, and he's telling them, a maw has come up before your face. This divider, something that splits and divides. And it has. And he's telling them now, this has come up before your face. You can see it clearly now. Guard your defenses. Get ready, because God's coming. See, God's getting ready to show himself great and strong in the earth. 3, for the Lord restoreth the pride of Jacob and the pride of Israel, for the emptiers have emptied them out and marred their vine branches. And we're going to see God is going to restore Jacob. God is going to restore the pride of Israel. And that's what we're talking about here. God is from the beginning been going to redeem, because he's going to use this as an example even in the end time. And we're going to take a second here to compare now. And I know this is verse 3 in this script we're reading. But now if we was reading the King James, we would be in verse 2. Once again, the verse 1 of our text is put over in the King James Version at the end of the last chapter. And the reason why is because these potsherds are made to contend with each other. God is trying to show in every example that he can the potsherds contending. God does cause them to contend with each other. And these potsherds are men, and these are the men who have tried to take control now of that which belongs to God. And that's really what we're talking about overall and altogether. But in the original Hebrew text, we have markers that mark the end of paragraphs, that mark the end of a context, and tells us when to restart. And unfortunately, when they put together the King James Version, they didn't catch those. And if they would have noticed now that verse 1 should have started a new paragraph, as it does in this text, and should not have been included in the last chapter because it doesn't belong there. And now, even so, in verse 3, we can go read the shield, which would be verse 2 in the King James Version, and it would read, for the Lord hath turned away the excellency of Jacob and the excellency of Israel, for the emptiers have emptied them out. Well, and we would get the intent now that God has turned away the Jacob. But in verse 3, which is verse 2 of the King James, it says here, for the Lord restores the pride of Jacob. And this would more closely fit now, because it wouldn't say turned away, but turned back. See, that would be the correct translation. And restorer more closely fits being turned back, the pride of. So, now, and what we're saying here is the emptiers have emptied them out. They've come and they've stolen now all the precious things, and we'll find that's exactly what's going on then. The Assyrians had come in. The Babylonians were getting ready to come in. And they are taking away everything that they have, that they used in their worship ceremonies. And God's using this now as an example, because, see, he's going to restore Israel in the end, and we're going to find out he's going to restore his word, which is the law of God. See, and it started with the law. It's all about the law, and the law will be your witness against you and the witness for you. But we'll see now. The emptiers have emptied them out and have marred their vine branches. And these vine branches represent the branches of the vine where they thought to bring forth fruit. 4. The shield of his mighty men is made red. The valiant men are in scarlet. The chariots are fire of steel in the day of his preparation, and the cypress spears are made to quiver. And this is what's going to be happening. See, the shield of the mighty men are made red. And this shield represents this agreement they've made, this covenant they've made. Their shield is stained in blood. And their valiant men are in scarlet. This scarlet could have more closely translated crimson. And this means they are blood. They are also covered in blood. These chariots are fire of steel. Now, this fire of steel, here is kind of a translation that's hard to follow, and it's more like the fire, how it divides the night. See how the light of the fire has a way to divide the darkness, and when it goes out, it's like it's got a place of ending where it ends, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. These chariots are like that fire in the day of his preparation, how the light does divide the darkness, because this is the maul, really, that has come up before your face. And these cypress spears, cypress is really, it's an evergreen tree. A cedar would have been a better translation. And these spears now are those things that can be thrown. And these are, we're talking about these little bitty truths of the Asherah. This Asherah they've planted there now. They are made to quiver. In other words, they're going to be made weak and to shake. 5. The chariots rush madly in the streets. They jostle one against another in the broad places. The appearance of them is like torches. They run to and fro like lightnings. And these chariots, we've kind of been speaking of these chariots in the past. These chariots are the place where they stand and take the reins of. And we can liken these to another word for these. We could use the word pulpit. This place where they stand up there and they think they control the reins. See, this little pulpit they've made for themselves, or this little chariot they stand behind, for that's what it resembles. They jostle one against another in the broad places. These places they've made wide. The appearance of them is like torches, though they think they're like a light that divides out now. They run to and fro like lightnings, like little flashes of light now. They think they move around. 6. He bethinks himself of his worthies. They stumble in their march. They make haste to the wall thereof, and the mantlet is prepared. Now he bethinks himself his worthies, or he thinks to himself about his majesty or his majesticness. But they stumble in their march. This path that they've got, this way they're going, this march, their order, they do stumble there. And they make haste to the wall, this place where they're trying to get over. And we know this represents the law of God, because God has set but just a wall between him and us. See, and this wall is the law. And if we would just take and switch it around, it is the law. And the mantlet is prepared. This mantlet is a covering, a covering, so to speak, as it is like a hedge or a fence, something to defend you. 7. The gates of the rivers are open, and the palace is dissolved. And these gates of the river are that which holds back the water. And when they're open, the palace is dissolved, because the waters come in and they are an overflowing flood. I know the book of Nahum is kind of hard to understand, but if you read it over and over and over, and you get in a mindset that Nahum is in, because we have to get ourselves in the position of Nahum, understand what was going on at that time, see, and this great idolatry was going on. But Nahum was saying that God is going to come and destroy this place of this idolatry, even Nineveh. And this is what Jonah was prophesying at that time. And we're basically almost hearing the voice of Jonah within the city now of Nineveh. And he's prophesying into this great city, even this great city that has devised against the Lord. 8. And the queen is uncovered. She is carried away, and her handmaids moan as with the voice of doves, tabbering upon their breasts. And this is an example of a moaning sound, a moaning sound. This tabbering, this cooing of a sort. Why? Because the queen is uncovered. This queen, the feminine portion of the crown, that bride of the king, is uncovered. Now, what does this mean? That her adulteries are made known, is basically exactly what this means. 9. But Nineveh has been from old, like a pool of water. Yet they flee away. Stand, stand. But none looks back. See, for Nineveh's been here a long time. It's of old, God says. It's of old. It's been here for a long time, like a pool of water, where the herds and the flocks have now come to know where to go and water. Yet they flee away. Stand, stand, one cries. But none looks back. 10. Take you the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there's no end of the store, rich with all precious vessels. And one cries, take you the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold. See, take it all, because now they flee from this city. They're running as hard as they can away from Nineveh. Why? God's destroying it. God is bringing his wrath down. He's going to make an example. But none looks back. See, it has all manner of precious vessels, all these manners of vessels which they do worship with. Take some, grab you some. But none looks back. None wants nothing to do with it. Why? Well, it's a devoted thing, and nobody wants any part of it. 11. She is empty, and void, and waste, and the heart melteth. The knees smite together, convulsions in all loins, and the faces of them have gathered blackness. And this is what's happening to her. She is emptied out, and void, made waste, made empty, and waste. Their hearts melt, the knees smite together, and convulsions is in all the loins. Faces of them have gathered blackness or darkness. See, gloom and despair, agony. Well, this is what happens when the truth of God is released, and what happens is that he goes forth now as a destructive power. The truth does, and the law of God, as it does burn and make witness and make known those who have committed great evil. 12. Where is the den of the lions, which was the feeding place of the young lions? Where the lion and the lionesses walked, and the lions whelped, and none made them afraid? Where's it gone? This is a question. Where is it? Where has it gone? This great feeding place, this place where the lions, God said, I'm going to meet you as a lion. This place where the lions feed, this majestic strength and power, walks around and like nobody can run him out of there. Where they've gone, see. 13. The lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps, and strangled for his lionesses, and filled his caves with prey, and his dens with ravin. That flesh which is torn and ripped. See, the lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps. See, and this is that lion tearing now and hunting and preying now to feed the young. And they do teach them to hunt by doing this. And this torn flesh is that which is ripped. That which is ripped, like God said, he would tear you and leave you lame. Why? You have strayed from the law of God. And he will tear you in a moment and leave you there to lay. Where's it gone? Where? These are those that did this. See, Nineveh was this place of lions, even these that rip and tear, and God's using them as a judgment. God's using them as a judgment against the house of Israel. But we're going to find out, see, in the end, all of Israel that has been scattered in all the earth. God's going to speak. God's going to make known now. Because from the beginning he's declared these things. 14. Behold, I am against you, saith the Lord of hosts. I will burn her chariots in the smoke, and the sword shall devour your young lions. And I will cut off your prey from the earth, and the voice of your messengers shall no more be heard. And that's what's going to happen. See, God's going to release the prisoners. God's going to bring forth understanding and truth. And then the sound of her chariots are burned away. The smoke is this confusion of it. The smoke is like the confusion that comes off the fire. It makes hidden now even the flame. And this sword, well, these are going to be the word in the end time. These young lions are those ones who are coming up, learning to hunt and trying to hunt their prey. But God is going to devour them. God is going to overcome them. See, because the word does, and the truth does overcome. And it's going to cut off the voice of their messengers, these that teach these untruths, these that run their mouth and they don't know what they're talking about, mostly because God never gave them authority to teach, but they've ordained themselves, and men have ordained them. But God had a plan from the beginning, see, and he had to set all this up. It took a while. It took him a little while, and we're not done. We're still working on it. But we have got enough done now that you can begin to see their progress. We'll be moving to chapter 3 now. We have a paragraph marker here at the end of this chapter.